obviously really pleased with the victory, but more importantly, really pleased with the week. It was a great week for Miami football, great week for Miami athletics. Did a lot of things and took a lot of time out of our week that most teams don't do, and we always preach to our kids that there's got to be balance in what you're doing, that football is very important to us, and winning games is very important to us, and playing our best and coaching our best is very important to us, but there's also other parts of your life, and our kids not only going to class, but doing everything they did with the walk down in Cincinnati for leukemia, and as many kids that showed up for that, and as much money as they raised for that, and then obviously Saturday with the helmets, crazy great idea. It was really nice. It meant a lot to our kids to get to choose it. So, and then you cap it off and you score the first 31 points in the game. Because when you're doing those things as a head coach, you're always thinking, okay, my kids are out here on Thursday night walking in Kentucky. Is this the best thing to play Saturday? But you also know you're also trying to teach them about lessons in life. So obviously it didn't affect us, played very well. Offensively, really nice. Once we got going, we scored 4 straight touchdowns and long drives. The 98-yard drive was kind of the tone setter for the game. Obviously, defense handled an up-tempo offense that had 488 yards the week before and produced a ton of points and a ton of yards and a ton of first downs and really shut them down the whole game. So somebody who's really usually pretty critical. I didn't really have a whole lot to complain about on Sunday. I like the way we're playing. We continue to get better. There's still areas we know we got to improve on. But we're playing cleaner football. We're playing better football, and our approach has been really good. From start to finish, really, from week one. So if you approach the right way, you'll keep improving that team. I think our team is improving. And then obviously getting healthier on offense is also a huge benefit for us.
These past couple of weeks, you guys have definitely done a better job of spreading the ball around. Has the injury of Gardner kind of forced you guys to explore other options as far as, being more well-balanced on offense?
Well, we've played, since Minnesota, we've played very good on offense. We've had 4 straight weeks where we've moved the ball, where we've run, where we've thrown. I think it's more a product for Gus really being comfortable. We've had good game plans, and Gus has been really comfortable. And then, and a lot of people got to make decisions on offense, but he's got the ball in the passing game, and he keeps throwing the ball to the open guy, and it's an undervalued thing. You want to be accurate, you want to be tough, you want to run and do a lot of things that Gus does, but his decision-making has been the best of his career. He keeps – if there's shots down the field, if there's shots in the seam that are open, he continues to hit them, but he is not forcing it, and he's getting the ball to our backs out in the flat, and those aren't always huge plays, but those keep us ahead of the chains and keep us in a good situation. So I think the spraying the ball around is really mostly a product of our quarterback making really good decisions and us having a good plan that he understands, okay, if this, then this, if this, then this. So obviously, we were asked after the game about, we talked about one guy doesn't make up for a great player. You're lucky to have one James Gardner. If you lose him, you usually don't have another guy standing there that looks like James Gardner. So, and that's the case. But we talked after a game. It's been running backs, it's been tight ends, it's certainly been receivers. Everybody's kind of stepping up, and that's how you replace a great player. You don't go one for one. There's not 10 of those sitting in the locker room, and no big deal. So everybody's got to play a little better. But then obviously your quarterback making good decisions, because if you throw the ball to the open guy, everybody's a pretty good player. So they sometimes we could put the ball to James where he was under duress and he could still make that play, because he could make the contested catch pretty easily, where now we're doing a really good job of finding the open guy and hitting the open guy, and we're catching the ball and running after we're catching it. So we've been really efficient on offense. We've had really good game plans, and we've executed the really good game plans the last 4 weeks.
Have you ever had any experience against Army in the past? And if so, how did you go about preparing for some of the weird looks that they give you?
Yeah, no. I've been fortunate or unfortunate, to be honest. It depends how you think about it. That I've had the pleasure of trying to defend triple option teams or option teams for a long time. Back when I was at Grand Valley, we had a really good option team in our league. We played them every year, and sometimes we played them in the playoffs. Then obviously at Notre Dame, we played the academies. In my 2 years on defense at Notre Dame, we played 1 year we played Navy and Army. We played at least one of the academies every year. We also played Air Force. So it's really no fun, but at least I understand why it's no fun. And then the tough thing is just it's not like anything you see at all. You see it all the time in high school, and we always say our game's a lot more like high school than the NFL. where you get such variety, and that's why colleges are scoring so many points, because you get such a variety of offense. You get pro-style offense, you get spread-style offense, you get triple option-style offenses, you get up-tempo offenses, and you go from that contrast of Kent State to Army. I mean, it is like, when you talk about ends of the spectrum, I mean, Kent State is going warp speed. The field is crazy spread. I mean, sometimes the 4 receivers are outside the numbers, you know. I mean, they got your defenders literally standing on the sideline. You're like, I don't feel good about my guys being that far apart, you know, but that's what they do, these spread teams. And then there's times Army, it's rugby. Like, you don't even need to watch the wide copy, because if you go to the tight copy, there's 22 guys in the tight copy, because their receivers are 1 yard outside their tackles, and there's 3 backs in the backfield, and you're thinking we're going to lock shoulders and roll a ball in there, and it's crazy old school wing T / triple option style football that's been effective forever. There's still thousands of teams winning high school state championships running this style offense. The only reason this style offense isn't prevalent throughout college and NFL, it's not exciting enough for fans. That's the only reason. Not because it's not. The option didn't go away back in the day because somebody figured out how to stop it. Where a lot of the fads go away because we figure out how to defend things, and all of a sudden those style offenses leave. The option just left because it wasn't exciting enough to run the ball every single snap for an entire season and throw the ball 2 times. That's not what fans like. So college coaches stopped doing it. High school coaches are still winning state titles running these offenses, and obviously the academies are still proving, you know, going up. When Army goes up against Oklahoma, there's a little difference in the recruits. And not that Army doesn't have really good players, but their style offense takes Oklahoma to overtime, and their toughness and who they are as people and all that plays into an account too. So it's a nightmare to try to defend. It's certainly a nightmare to try to defend for 1 week, you know. It's just you got 6 days to try to figure out, and they've been running it forever. So there's nothing you can throw at them that they haven't seen. There's no way you're going to trick them. So if you try to do a few different things and you're just doing different things than your kids aren't used to, they're used to it. They've seen every front, every gimmick, every pressure, it's what they do, and they usually have a pretty quick. And you're like, you're going to try that. I remember 20 years ago somebody tried that. This is we go to outside veer. We do this. We run the midline. We run the foul play. We run the quick pitch. We run the plat. Like, they laugh, you know. And my brother runs triple option in high school. It's the same thing. Like, he's been doing it a long time. And it's like, it's always somebody tries something that they think they haven't seen before. They've seen it. So it's a very, very unique challenge. And to go from a fast tempo team to, you know, they're averaging 40 minutes of possession. If you average 32 minutes of possession, you're gonna lead your league probably by a wide margin. Like 33 is unheard of. They're averaging 40 minutes of possession a game. If you count in 4th down makes, which you have to count in 4th down makes when you look at 3rd down, they're averaging 75% on 3rd down. Because on 3rd down, if you don't get it, if you go for it on 4th down, it just counts as a make, you know. And if you count in 19 for 21 on 4th down, that's insane. 19 for 21 on 4th down. And they're already 55% on 3rd down. So they're 74.4%. Like, you can't get them off the field, you know, and they don't go backwards. Their fullbacks, I don't know how many carries they have in 6 games, but they give the ball to fullback 30, 40, 50 times a game. They don't have a negative rush the entire season. Not one. But again, he's lined up right behind the quarterback. He's racing downhill like a racehorse out of control, and he's 230 pounds, and there's about 4 of them, so it's tough to get, but just they're always ahead of the chains, and they're always in good field position, and they do what they do extremely well.
Defensively, it pays to have experienced people, especially in a situation like this. How's your injury situation?
Okay, we'll see. We got a bunch of guys that were beat up. Obviously, we lost both safeties in the game. Another thing we're pretty proud of, we lose Josh Allen the first series of the game. In the middle of the first series of the game, he comes out. And then we lose basically at halftime. We lost DeAndre Montgomery. They're both on the mend. We'll see. We're waiting for a couple days here to see how the injuries go. I'd say they're both questionable for Saturday, but we'd obviously like to have all our horses, particularly on the back end. Particularly Josh and Demo are 2 major factors for us. So Saturday, obviously, Sterling Weatherford stepped in for DeAndre and did a great job. And then the combination of Barati and Mike Brown stepped in for Josh Allen and did a really, really good job in those guys' absence.
Since Minnesota definitely seems, especially on the offensive side of ball, that you guys have definitely improved, how much of a measuring stick will this week against Army be, as it's definitely a step up in competition?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. They're a good team, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. They're a good team. Every week's a measuring stick, I guess. I don't know how much. We'll see. It's tough to gauge your defense when you're trying to defend this for 1 week. So I'd like to think we get some stops. You know, we defended them at Notre Dame, played 8 possessions. One time it was an 8-possession game, which is unheard of. There was 8 possessions in the whole game. They scored 5 touchdowns, and I was at Notre Dame. So we had pretty good players, and we had pretty good defense. So it's hard to gauge a defense this week going against them because they're pretty prolific on offense. And then they've been really good on defense, maybe a little bit of better gauge for our offense. But I like the way our offense is playing, and I think they're going to continue to improve and continue to get better. So we still got 5 weeks left. We've been talking about since week 1, like, good teams keep getting better, bad teams don't. Bad teams take a bad result early or a bad start to the season and they pack it in, and if you want to do that, you can do that. That's your choice. But if you keep plugging away and you keep working on your weaknesses, you continue to get better, and our team has been on a nice improve for 4 straight weeks. And, you know, we went from 11-22 of the third quarter against Akron, all right, and we scored 58 points, and our opponent scored none for the next 4 quarters, you know, basically the 4 quarters in 5 minutes. You know, basically in one game we outscored our opponents 58-0, which is hard to do. If you look at our league, that doesn't happen. It doesn't matter who you play. You look at the scores, as I always keep reminding our kids about our league and how hard it is. And you look at Bowling Green last week, and again, they're up 35-28 in the 4th quarter against Western Michigan. You know, but Bowling Green's, you know, they're no good. They have no good play. No, they're good and they have good players. It's hard. They haven't won many games, but they keep losing close games. And so the league's tough. Doesn't matter who you play or who's playing. We've made some teams that aren't that bad look bad, you know, 3 of the last 4 weeks. But I think they're showing when they play other teams. Kent State lost to OU by a point the week before. They didn't look great against us. A lot of that had to do with us. We played really good football on Saturday. So if we keep playing football, we keep improving, I think we'll keep putting ourselves in position to win some games.
You mentioned that a lot of high schools still play the triple option. Are there experiences that your players from their high school days that can help them this week?
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question, yeah. No, maybe if they've, more so I think if they played on a triple option team and saw it every day, if they played defense and just saw it maybe once or twice a year, probably not. But if they played at a high school that ran triple and that's all they saw for 4 years in practice was a triple, they probably have a little better understanding. And really the awareness of how difficult it is to stop. That's the first thing that's stopping is understanding how hard it is. Because you watch it and you're thinking, okay, but they exhaust all your resources. That's the thing with an option team is you don't have layers to your defense. That's why they get all these huge plays. Because if one guy doesn't take the dive, there's not 2 other guys waiting for the dive. All right, if one guy doesn't take the quarterback, there's not 2 other guys. It's like the quarterback runs and he's on air and you're like, what the heck's going on? Well, the quarterback player didn't make the play or he got blocked or he missed the tackle or he misread it because they don't block people and they're reading people, all right? You're now exhausting resources that you typically don't do, and we always have layers to our defense. Well, you play an option team, you try to keep layers of defense, you're just shorting the box the whole game, and then they just run the ball to fullback and they rush for 400 yards. You never see the ball, and yeah, you don't give up big plays, but they got the ball for 40-some minutes, and you basically just watch their offense grind you into submission. Well, that's no fun, you know. But the other thing is to be more aggressive, and then they get all these huge chunk plays and score quickly. San Jose State tried that last week. Hey, we're going to be more aggressive, and you know, I'm sure they're working on their time of possession this week because they had a disappointing 37 minutes of possession only against San Jose State last week, which was 3 minutes below their average. So I'm sure Coach Monken's preaching that we got to maintain the ball longer. But the only reason they had the ball for 37 minutes, they kept scoring from out. They got these huge chunk plays, and they still had the ball for 37 minutes. You know, they had the ball for 44 minutes against Oklahoma. It was like, what's the matter with Oklahoma's offense? Well, they played 16 minutes of offense. It's hard to generate too much offense when you just stand there and watch your team's offense. So you're kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't. If you want to play a little safer deal, they just kind of methodically, and that's what they love to do, methodically wear you down and keep their offense field. If you want to start to people try to blitz them, hey, we're going to blitz them and cause a bunch of negative plays, and it usually causes a negative play here and there, and it usually causes a lot of their running backs and quarterbacks hitting their heads on the goalpost, and you get to run your extra point block team out there a bunch. Like blitzing them is typically, I was like, hey, we should just blitz them, and we're going to option the option, and we're going to attack them, and we're going to change up their keys. And other quarterback's seen it 1,000 times. Like, okay, he knows you're changing up the keys, and now you're doing things that your kids probably have practiced for 3 days and probably aren't very proficient at it. You know, that's the whole thing is you typically have to change your defense. And if you change your defense for 1 week, it's really can't be very effective. Or you just play your base defense and then basically just watch them play football the whole game. Just sit there and like, oh, we can't stop them. No one else can stop them. Teams that do that, that's what happens. And so I don't really know what the good answer is. No one really has a good answer. They wouldn't have 40 minutes of possession if there was a good answer.
How confident are you in Koenig and McMullen, especially, leading the defense into a heavy run game, and how important will it be for them to be disciplined, especially with reading their keys against a team that will try to?
Well, discipline's that's exactly. I mean, if you're not disciplined defense, you have no chance. If you are disciplined, I don't know how good a chance you have, but you have zero chance if you don't read your key. And they do such a good job. They have so many different run schemes, and they go right through them. And if you stop one run scheme, they got 10 more they can try at you. And you got to be disciplined. And there's so many different things that they do, from they don't block you and they veer you to they arc you to they fold you to they G-belly you. Like it's constantly for your kids different keys, and you got to read them and you got to go where you don't. And every time you don't, it's usually at least a chunk playing a nice first down. So it's paramount that you're disciplined. It's paramount, and now you're trying to out-discipline people that are in the Army or in the Navy or the Air Force. Like, well, we got to be more disciplined than them. Okay, these are the most disciplined human beings on the planet. Like, not in all. Like, if it's about discipline, you're probably, I like our kids. I think they're disciplined. I think they're hard work, and I know what people in the Army do. I got friends that, my dad was in the Army. I got friends, kids that go. I know what their day. Our kids' day doesn't start off at 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. like their day. Our guys aren't up running hills at 4 a.m. So then you have the mental toughness portion of there's no one mentally tougher. And then this is this kid's recess. Like, this is only, like, he can't wait to play football. This is, like, for our kids, we take it for granted, and we're Division I scholarships and all that. Like, this, for these kids, their day, they're in the Army every day. They don't get free time for football, which is the amazing thing what these kids and they accomplish, and why it's so humbling to play them, and there's so much respect when you play them. Like, their Army life goes on every day. It's not like they get time off in season. They just get to be a college football player in a college. They go to class, they do all their Army stuff, and then when they have some spare time, they go play some football, and they're pretty darn good at it.
How do you psych your team up to go out and try to dominate a team of people that are defending our country?
Yeah, no, we try not to think about that one. And again, it's just like we talked about this week about the perspective. We had this huge cancer awareness week, which was awesome. And we talked about this Friday night, like, some of it, you have a week like that, and then you start to think, well, football's not very important, right? Like I just went on this leukemia walk, and I'm seeing these little kids that have leukemia, and these adults that are fighting cancer, and we all know people in our lives. And then you're like, okay, well, if this is what's important, which it is football the most important thing in the world? No, it's not the most important thing. We know Thursday night was more important. Okay, we get that. But just like we talked Friday night, like, you've got one life to live. And the expectation is you figure out where your passions are, and then you go for it. And that's what it is. It's like, we love football. Okay, so if you're going to play football, why wouldn't you play at the highest level? So tons of respect, obviously, for all the armed forces. Tons of respect. The kids you're going against, is a reason we get to play football, because of what they do. So but at the end of the day, part of us living our lives is to go, it's Saturday, it's a football game. Now it's football time. That doesn't take away any respect we have from Army or Navy or the Air Force. It just has to, at 12 o'clock on Saturday, both teams are doing something they love, and they're competing, and we owe it to each other to compete. You owe it to yourself to compete. You owe it to yourself to go. We talked about it against Kent State. This is your chance to play football. Let's go play football. Last night, maybe it was about something else. And maybe it was about something bigger than football. But today it is about football. All right, and if we're going to do football, let's do it to the best of our ability. And if it's important to you, then it's important, and let's go play with crazy amount of passion, crazy intent. So Saturday at noon, okay, they're our opponent. We're going to bring it. They're going to bring it. We're going to see who's a better football team. Before the game, after the game, we'll certainly pay our respects, and it'd be pretty cool to be at West Point. But game time's game time.